Hey there, welcome to episode 106. It's season 2, yay, of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. No, really, happy to be in season 2. Who knows what will happen by the time we get to season 3. I'm your host, Dan Hugo, the managing director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, a Nevada nonprofit 501c3 public charity. Our purpose is to enable and encourage ideation, innovation, and implementation to make our communities better. It's that implementation part that's can be really tricky, especially if we lack some civic volunteers to join in the fun. But today, we're going to speak of skills and experience, the sorts of things one might bring to an organization such as ours and leave with when we do that implementation part and deploy. It'd be nice if other people could use what we're working on. So there you go. If you're not familiar with the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, like I said, we are a 501c3 public charity. We don't really hit people up for donations, but you're always welcome to donate to support our causes. Our initiatives and component projects are all published as open source on GitHub. So far, mostly software, but that is not the goal. The goal is to implement real community elevation. Sometimes that's software, sometimes it isn't. So as more individuals with different backgrounds and interests and skill sets and whatnot can join in, we'll tackle different components, different parts, different elements of our various initiatives, and we'll add some more. So skills and experience, though, is what is the value proposition, if you like. Hopefully, wherever you found this audio program, you are able to locate the episode description, which contains our show notes. There's a summary, which I will read to you, and then there are 8, yes, I can count, 8 links for today's episode. 4, the usual 4, some links about our stuff, our ongoing stuff, and then 4 links that are relevant to today's episode. So let's get to it on this, the 25th of February, 2025, and we're recording this at about 1 p.m. Vegas time. Summary. We find ourselves in interesting times of late, and while some of the chaos taking place at the federal level is concerning, we are very specifically thinking locally. In fact, side note, as a 501c3, we are explicitly not getting involved in the politics of the day. However, we can participate insofar as it impacts our own constituents, if you like, the members of our local communities and the communities at large. We service our friends and neighbors and fellow locals here in Vegas, and then other localities around the U.S. and who knows where beyond. Vegas has nebulous borders, so everything we're doing is about people. Government is a part of that. We don't really get involved, although we can have municipal partners, we can collaborate with non-government organizations, and so on. So that's a little side note. Not political. So we are very specifically thinking locally, and maybe it is time you do as well. And then act locally. Act locally. Not only is there an opportunity to develop skills for yourself and peers, but initiatives designed to elevate communities are a net positive and a great way to spend your time. No coding required. A little bit of both. Coding, not coding, people with different backgrounds, interests, skills, proclivities, curiosities. Come on down. The links for today's episode, the first 4, if you've already heard an episode of this program, you know the first one is a link to our homepage, Innovate FOR Vegas. So all one word, innovateforvegas.org. You'll find our gatherings calendar, our governance. We are looking to grow our board of directors, by the way, as I speak in this February timeframe. If it's the future and you're listening to this, hopefully we did that. Maybe you're on it. Maybe you're on our board. You can find some information about our current initiatives. Still an ongoing process to update our website. So hopefully when you do look at it, it will be shinier and newer than the last time you looked at it. Projectact.info. That's project-act.info. The Autonomous Cohort Tessellation, formerly and still Autonomous Cohort Transformation Initiative, Project Act. The tessellation is to aid discovery so that different cohorts of one or more people, either near each other or far, can can connect, collaborate, or connect, communicate, and collaborate. Mostly open source, but hopefully it will have various applications. We're making use of old school technologies like the Resource Description Framework, RDF. If you are familiar with RSS feeds for audio programs like this one, the original RSS version 1 was RDF site syndication. If you are familiar with Mastodon or other ActivityPub federated websites, they make use of ActivityPub and Activity Streams. Activity Streams make use of RDF, constructed as JSON LD. But anyway, getting too nerdy. So Project Act will aim to connect people more directly and explicitly and aid in discoverability to, again, facilitate connection, communication, and collaboration across civic volunteer organizations or others. AgileForVolunteers.org, all one word, Agile, F-O-R, volunteers. AgileForVolunteers.org is our own reimagination of the Agile methodology based on the original core principles developed by and for programmers in February of 2001. It's a while ago, 24 years ago. Today, we take those same principles and same methodology and apply it to not only not programming, so apply it to general case initiatives and component projects, but also apply it not to employees who one might expect are around on a regular basis, but to volunteers who might come and go as their time allows and who can sometimes not always communicate their departures. So Agile for Volunteers, an effort to enable and encourage development, participation, and progress in the civic volunteer universe. And of course, Mastodon.Vegas. Always not quite at the top of the to-do list, but eventually we will be launching our federated instance of a Mastodon server for Vegas-related chicanery. Mastodon.Vegas. That's Mastodon.Vegas. When you see a website there, we've made some progress. It just isn't at the top of the list at the moment as I'm speaking. The next 4 links are related to they're really related to the end of today's episode. AI coding tools in a downward spiral, ? That's an InfoWorld article, so linked to that one. Are AI coding tools getting better or worse, or are they causing more trouble? Are they all they're cracked up to be? I'll give you a little hint. Not really. 27 days of no human coding. These titles, by the way, have shortened. They're kind of a paraphrase. This is a towardsdatascience.com article. Zero human code. What I learned from forcing AI to build and fix its own code for 27 straight days. I'll give you another spoiler. It's not as easy as it is made out to be in the press. All these headlines about, the days of code. Don't even bother learning how to code. Hang on. Just hang on a second. Don't put down your computer science 101 syllabus just yet. Automation without understanding. Again, that's a paraphrase. It's a Harvard Business Review article from this month. I'm afraid we're automating this work without really understanding it. What happens if you automate a process and you don't know what it's doing anymore? Suddenly it breaks. Now what? Do you boot up ChatGPT and say, what do I do now? How does your code work? Another paraphrase. A Futurism article that suggests that young coders who are using AI for everything can't actually describe how their programs work. All of these links have leaned into coding, mostly because AI and coding have been making the news. There's a little competition going on between the various AI model companies. Which one is going to replace the junior level engineers in your organization, saving you massive amounts of money, but also not providing you with a future of senior level engineers from the junior level engineers. As we know, AI has already taken over artificial voices, AI-generated text, AI-generated emails, images, now video. So those things are kind of more visible. I've tackled the coding side here just because it's getting a lot of press, but it might not be as obvious to the casual observer. If you see an AI-generated video and it's a mess, you can tell it's a mess. 5 fingers, shadows are wrong, the uncanny valley effect. Same with images. Images, you're like, that doesn't look like a real person. or whatever it is, animal, etc. So they're really more like fantastic at this point. And yes, you can spend some time and come up with static images, but that's a long, we're on a path to something eventually. And then text that's generated by text, like emails or articles or books or legal briefs that are generated by AI, are often not quite right either. But these creative works, you can almost always kind of pick up on it. You can visually inspect. You can hear the voice. The AI generated voice may mispronounce words. It may say things in different ways in different parts of a text that it's reading. So there are little clues that you can pick up on. With AI generated software, it's not always so obvious until it becomes obvious that stuff doesn't work, or it doesn't work as you intended. And then you ask the quote unquote programmers, and they say, we didn't actually write this code. And then the journey begins again. So there it is. Those are the links for today's episode. Check them out in the episode description. I'm having a little coffee, by the way, if you hear me taking a moment and sipping on some liquid. Coffee is not the ideal. My voice is probably sounding a little bit scratchy today. Still always a work in progress. Let's talk about chaos, just very briefly, though. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, really any time on it. We are explicitly not political, of course. As a 501c3 public charity, we are not involved with or advocating or lobbying for political candidates or issues, and we're not picking sides and whatnot. So this is not about advocating for this or that in a particular, in that particular realm. So we can talk about government. The government is part of our day-to-day lives, and our civic volunteerism is all about people that are part of the government, and they're part of the communities and so on. So the way people interact in their communities with their government and non-government organizations and agencies and infrastructure and all that, that's all part of what we're kind of tackling. So all that said, these are interesting times for some, especially those with actual skills and experience. Skills and experience roll credits, working in areas like digital service or planning or environment or any number of other areas at the federal level, who might suddenly find they have time on their hands. This is a great time to do some 20% thinking, maybe contributing some time to local community elevation, ! At the same time, so yeah, I just got laid off or fired or furloughed or whatever the terminology will be at any given moment, working for the federal government, for an agency, for an organization adjacent and so on. So why not, while moving to the next thing, consider putting some of your skills and abilities and experience back into your local communities. 20% project, usually take a Friday or 1 day a week, or plus or minus. At the same time, there are the up-and-comers, those who will make the workforce of tomorrow and next week, who would benefit from interacting with this experience and interest in community elevation, the wisdom of those who came before, shared with those coming next. They would benefit from this, and if it can be found, of course, if the connection can be made, so that the value proposition of civic volunteerism and mentor-mentee exchange, probably in both directions, is likely invaluable. Can't really put a number on it. So opportunity is ahead. I have mentioned too many times to count now when we did reboot Code for Vegas about 3 years ago now, and then as the Code for Vegas Foundation, that we were focused in part on skills development. So joining Code for Vegas Foundation as a participant, as a civic volunteer, you would develop some of your skills, coding or otherwise. The name Code for Vegas Foundation, well, we found out quickly that not everybody was on board with that name, which sent some non-coders away. I've quoted this person before. I don't exactly remember who it was, but I heard it from multiple people. I'm not a coder, so this is not for me, or I'm not welcome, or I can't be a part of this, or statements along those lines. Turns out it wasn't whether they were a coder or not, it's whether they understand committing time to develop one's own skills, no matter what they are, code or not. So the intent was to not scare people away or to somehow offer a velvet rope to keep people out. So the legacy name gave way to Innovate for Vegas Foundation, aiming more at including anyone with an interest in civic volunteerism with a diversity of skills and background. Innovation can take many forms. As I often say, you can innovate with food or beverage or visualizations or audio or the way you teach, the way you tell a story. These are all places where you can be creative and innovative, regardless of coding. Coding is not required. Not everything in the world is code. Not yet, anyway. Fingers crossed. For the younger crowd, the typical K through 12 education received in a typical school may lean more towards individual achievement. That's particularly true with the No Child Left Behind realm of curriculum and programs, with collaboration and cooperation skills left to after-school activities like sports, clubs, and other such things. Collaborating with peers on community elevation projects or initiatives and component projects in our lexicon opens up real skills development possibilities by working with others on real, legitimate, and highly visible initiatives that offer real potential and positive and lasting outcomes. In other words, you're not sitting in a room, hanging out, working on a portfolio project, right? An issue tracking tool, a visual editor. There's all these tools that you will find in programming classes, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about real things that will really elevate communities and that people will take notice of. And these look okay on the resume. Or they're visible wins, right? Hey, I worked on that. That's cool. And people are really using it. That's even better. For those of us that it's if I could speak. For those of us who've been around for a while, like me, there is great opportunity in any civic volunteer organization, including ours, but wherever you are, same thing, to apply our existing skills, pick up some new additions of existing skills, like, I guess people are programming in Go now. I'm more of a C programmer, or Python. And Python's still around, so is C. But why not add something new? So you can add some new additions of existing skills, like you're a programmer, and now you're a programmer with a little bit more reach. And then completely new skills. Sometimes a job role is fairly specific. Civic volunteerism offers many hats to try. So you may end up working on web front ends, and maybe you'll learn some JavaScript, and which on one hand is programming, and on the other hand is a chaotic cacophony of libraries and platforms and best practices and different browsers to support and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, learn more. Sharing some of these experiences with the next generation to pave the way for a capable future is a good thing. And as I said, a two-direction mentor-mentee relationships. You may be pair programming, and I've leaned into software examples here, but it could be the use of graphic tools. It could be the latest in SVG manipulation and display and styling. It may be physical artwork. It may be physical sculpture, mechanical objects, machines. It may be signage, how to convey a message, how to translate and convey the same message across different languages. The list goes on. So everything we're working on would benefit from non-coders just as well as coders. In fact, I would say our organization is weaker if we don't have non-coders participating. Coders see the world through a particular lens. Everyone else should also chime in on what they're seeing. That doesn't look right. That happens. I always say if you're letting your coders design your user experience, you're doomed. So there's skills. What about experience? Well, of course, civic volunteerism done well results in community elevating outcomes in addition to individual and team skills development. Our organization has from day zero, that's before we started, embraced a transparent attribution policy so that people who contribute their volunteer time, effort, and expertise are recognized and celebrated. With full credit for any reference needs. Somebody asks, did you work on this? We will absolutely attest to that. Yep. That person worked on that project, worked on multiple initiatives, contributed greatly, showed up, whatever they're asking. Not to mention placement on a resume or in a portfolio and so on. So pointing to real, finished, deployed, useful, and tried and tested by normal people in the world. These are the sorts of things that look great on a resume or add to one's marketability, and they're just generally good experiences and things to point to. Surely for those just getting started in their career path or maybe changing to a career path of interest, like a Friday 20% pursuit, can point back to these accomplishments for future work or references in general. So there again, I did that. I worked on that, etc. And there is always the possibility through collaboration with others on a team to pick up some new skills and add these skills and accomplishments to the overall experience. So more winning. So if you're working on a team and you're all collaborating across your different skill sets, maybe I'm helping out. I'm not a graphically inclined person. If you've ever seen any of my covers for my audio programs or anything really, I would not say I'm a graphic artist by any means. But if I'm working with someone and I can contribute to the visualization component, or if we can look at why ARIA accessibility requirements for websites or other interactions, then I will have learned something new, or I will have added to my reasonably beginner level skill set in some of those areas. So there's always an opportunity to gain experience doing things. So you're developing some skills, but you're actually developing along a path that nets you some experience, right? At the end, hey, yeah, we got this working, we learned along the way, and now I have deployed a thing, learning while doing. Yet more winning. Obviously, experience is something that we are never done collecting, I hope. So even though those who choose to volunteer their time, effort, and voluminous expertise can only add to their own balance and also share their experience with others in that mentor-mentee relationship. Did I say that correctly? So so I totally misplaced the emphasis. I'm sorry. So even those who choose to volunteer their time. So you're never done. You never say, I already know how to do all that stuff. Because when you are telling someone else, when you're sharing your expertise with someone who is still learning, you will pass along some useful knowledge and experience, and that other person, your mentee as a mentor, may come away knowing more, being able to do more. But at the same time, they may stump you with a question or two. They may force you to remember some things and say, oh, you know what? There's a better way to do that. More often than not, a mentor-mentee relationship is a two-way street. You may learn from teaching. The student becomes the teacher becomes the student, etc. Often there is a sort of I'm too busy doing my day job to volunteer my skills and experience for others mentality. But these are, as we might agree, interesting times. It may be worthwhile to examine the possibilities. It may be a diversion, and a useful one. So what's going on in the future? I've kind of gone through the present state of affairs. We are always looking to develop and continue development on our initiatives as they are today, adding more, reaching out to third-party collaborators. Most of our initiatives, in fact, all of them, yes, all of our initiatives at present are self-driven. So they are owned, I guess, specified, managed, driven by the Innovate for Vegas Foundation and not by a third party. So anyone who wants to collaborate on them, they're ongoing projects and initiatives. They don't have an end-of-life date. They're not going to be handed off to someone else and be done. This is sometimes the case with civic volunteer organizations that accept projects that are sponsored by external entities like non-government organizations, municipal partners, etc. So in those cases, there's like a beginning and an end. The sponsoring or supporting organization, possibly plural, may take the outcomes and apply it to what they're doing. They may be deployed, but then they're not maintained, etc. So all of our initiatives today are intended to be ongoing developments with the possibility of spin out to actual monetizable little startups of sorts. And so this is where the return on volunteer time comes into play. This is the labs model that I have also been talking about since we started. Similar to, say, Google Labs, where they take an experimental product or service or feature, they let people use it. It's part of their commercial offerings, but it's still like early beta experimental. So we can take what we're working on, we can roll it out to the public, they can give it a try, we can spin it off as a monetizable entity. It could be a vendor relationship with some third party those developments and ongoing developments and support could extend to other localities. We always invite other people from other localities to join in our initiatives as well. So we never know. We have no product to ship on a particular timeline, so the world is our oyster, as they say. So the future is, well, who knows? Everybody is certain that AI will be taking your job, my job, everybody's job. Everybody's jobs will be done by computers, which is why I have included those four. Got to keep those notes up to date. 4 links about AI and coding. And again, not everything is code, but coders seem to be they're the topic of the day. The coding notion being replaced by AI has bubbled up to near the top of the various statements made by tech bros. And I think it was Facebook is no longer hiring junior engineers or has cut back significantly. And again, where do senior engineers come from? From junior engineers. And this is true of everything. If you replace your entry level or junior level, anything, coding, creating, writing, reading, whatever it is, that's how you get to be seniors, by having that junior level entry point. So that'll be interesting in the future. But replacing coders or enabling non-coders to write code with AI tools has become a headline of the day. So the AI coding race is a real thing. Which model is better? Is it Clyde? Is it Devin? Is it Copilot? Is it who knows what? There's tons. So is learning to code still worthwhile? That's a good question. Spoiler alert, yes. The race is on to leave humans out of the equation, though. The stuff of dystopian books and movies where people stop understanding how things work! Exclamation point. Go see The Time Machine. Don't be the Eloi. Don't be the Morlocks either. But don't forget how things work. Not trying to scare anyone, but we have a no AI policy for the most part for our organization to encourage people to polish their human skills, coding or creating or anything. Coding and creating anything or anything. Sure, AI as a tool might come in handy here and there. But if you have AI do your work for you, why should you be involved in any way? We should just have the AI do the work. You don't have to be involved. You can stay home. Let the AI do it, and we can all pursue other things, as they say. Except that doesn't work. Check out those links in the link section of the episode description of this episode. In reality, at least in the near term, it seems more useful an investment in the future. That's your time, my time, our effort, what we've learned, what we hope to learn, what we end up deploying, whether in our day jobs or our own entrepreneurial pursuits or hobbies or civic volunteer efforts, to develop our skills based on interest and experience and maybe some curiosity, while we also learn to collaborate with our fellow humans. Don't get rid of humans in favor of AI. Learn to talk to other people and work with them, while at the same time applying some of the modern tech that we all have at our disposal to better understand the tools and the goals. So it's not no AI, it's just understanding that AI is a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox. It shouldn't be a replacement for you. It should be an extension of you to make what you're working on better, easier to do, easier to reproduce if you're manufacturing something, debugging, language translation, etc. So there's a lot of things that AI can do in conjunction with you as a collaborative tool, as some leverage. As Steve Jobs has famously said, humans are notoriously slow, but if you give a human a bicycle, suddenly they're the most efficient beings on the planet for being two-legged. And he always wanted computers to be that for the creative mind. So yeah, make AI a tool that extends that creativity, whether it's coding or creating. If you claim to bake a cake, but have no idea the ingredients nor the baking process, did you participate in anything other than claiming credit for the finished product? No. So let us avoid that conundrum entirely and learn by doing, and learn by doing together with others, collaborating, teamwork, whole team development, part of our Agile for Volunteers ethos and methodology, and participate and have others do the same. And don't always think Innovate for Vegas Foundation, even though I'm sure you are. There are other organizations around the country and around the world that are doing similar things. It could be done in similar ways, or it could be a different approach. Get out there and see what other people are doing, and you can do all the same things for yourself, adding to your skill set, learning to collaborate with others, generating outcomes that elevate communities and generally make the world a better place, and maybe stuff that you learn working with others at a distance, in other places, can have some impact on what you do locally. Get out there, make your communities better. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget you can visit our website if you want to click the donate link. I'm not hard selling the notion of donating, but eventually, as some of our stuff comes to fruition, there may be ways that gathering support, financial and otherwise, from the greater community of the local Vegas area and beyond will sort of, it's a chicken and egg thing right now. We don't have chickens nor eggs, but eventually having available donated funds might help with some of our activities and the little feedback loop to help turn the crank of the machine that we're trying to build. But at the moment, luckily our costs are almost zero, to be honest. They're not quite zero, but they're pretty close. But eventually, it would be great to have community support, whether it's in-person participation, online participation, financial support, and whatnot. So that's where I'm going to end it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for putting up with my scratchy voice today. And think about contributing to your local, wherever you are, Greater Vegas or somewhere else. Be a part of elevating your local communities with your skills and abilities. Apply your time, effort, and expertise. Make your communities better. Take care.